Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue 48 of Stormbringer magazine, and we get more of our Gloomspite kits. We get 5 of the Boing Bounders. These are pretty cool. Grots riding squigs into battle like it's cavalry. They're quite fun, bit interesting, very different, and also unique. Now, this is a thing that I personally like. I like unique units for Warhammer, and these guys fit the bill. So these look a little bit nuts, they look a little bit wacky, just kind of like the Fanatics do, and things like the good old Loon Boss and everything like that. They all look very unique and kind of different, but yet they all work very well together, and these guys are no different. These are very interesting. They have different weapon options, and yeah, you can have a bit of fun with them, but really good stuff. I am definitely going to be building these in a bit, so really good fun. So happy days with them. Moving into this week's issue, first off we are greeted by Alarielle the Ever Queen. So Alarielle the Ever Queen is the mother goddess of life. She is the creator of the Sylvaneth who she grew from soul pods saved from the world that was. Power radiates from her being, an aura of life energy that cleanses and restores the land as she passes over it. When faced with opposition, she directs her wrath towards those who would thwart her mission of renewal. In her is bound the fury and tenderness of all nature. She has many aspects, great, terrible, and imposing to behold. So, Alarielle the Ever Queen was actually a kind of manifestation of a life of the kind of the Wood Elves and the leader of the Wood Elves in the world that was. During the end times, she was saved by Sigmar after the world that was basically exploded and destroyed, and they were falling through the cosmos, and her soul was brought to the realms, and she became the guardian of life, essentially. And yeah, the world kind of she sparked life everywhere, or almost everywhere. So really good stuff. A bit more interesting as well, you can get a mini of her, which is pretty damn cool, which is her riding that big massive beetle, which is super cool. She has also faced conflict, especially chaos, going up against any of the chaos folk, especially Nurgle, during the Age of Chaos, and she has also not long recently completed the Rite of Life, which was kind of a magical spell that kind of has pushed the power balance in a different direction, which has also kind of sparked off the kind of current kind of storyline within good old Age of Sigmar, and yeah, it all goes from there. So, you know, there's a lot of powers sort of kind of pushing and pulling and trying to do what they think is right by them, and yeah, just sparks off new fronts of a war, essentially. Then moving on, we have Nature's Gambit Part 2, another part of that story, going through the Forest Blessed and her unit of Tree Revenants that have followed Elveruth, the Arch Revenant, on a desperate mission to save a soul pod grove from an encroaching grot horde. So yeah, another part of that story, which the fiction within these magazines is always pretty decent and quite interesting, and a lot of them are more unique short stories, and yeah, they just fit right in with the lore and history of the current Age of Sigmar, so why not? Otherwise though, it will be continued in a future episode. Then we move on, we have our Gloomspite Gits page, so we have the Boing Bounders page. So obviously you can give them their boss traits, you can have a look at what they kind of all will look like when they're kind of done and painted up, and if you go in for the GW style paintwork. So obviously they have their own traits, they are a little bit nuts and a little bit more fun, and you can also give them their unit traits and also name the squad for them as well, so you can give them that and also their great deeds. Entirely up to you though, but really good stuff when you can add your own spin on any of the kind of units that we get with these magazines. It's always good fun. Then we move on, we have our how to build guide. So obviously There are quite a few parts to this, so you will have a few little kind of fiddly bits. So obviously cut it very neatly, try to get it just right, and I'm sure you'll have absolutely no problem at all with it once you've got it all right. It is just literally getting it to the point where you can get it all going. There are interchangeable parts, so there are different heads, there are different weapons. It's up to you which ones you want. So would you like the poking lances, or would you like the more kind of short weapons? Entirely up to you. So have a bit of fun with it, enjoy it, and I'm sure you'll make some really good weaponry and a really good looking unit when you're done with it. Just take your time, obviously dry fit things before you glue it in case you make a mistake, so you know exactly where it's going to go. But otherwise, fun stuff. It's going to be really good fun. When you're building it though, you will also be left with kind of like this bit, and then it's all about those interchangeable parts that you can put on top of it. So whether you're utilizing certain grots or on different riders, on different squigs, different mouths and such like, different weaponry, entirely up to you, but you can have a bit of fun with it. You can enjoy yourself. When you're done, you're going to have something looking very similar to those, and yeah, you can't go too far wrong with it. It will look very good and very neat and nice and awesome, and as a unique unit, which is always really good fun. If as well you didn't utilize all of the little tiny mushroom bits and stuff like that from other units like the fanatics or anything like that, you can also add those to the bases of these guys, or if you buy like 3D printed mushrooms and toadstools and stuff like that, you can add those to it. But it's entirely up to you, but you make it as you want it. So obviously Gloomspite gets a very mushroom orientated, so you can have a bit of fun with it and enjoy yourself. Your paint guide, fairly straightforward, fairly simple. I'm not going to disagree with all of it. Some of it I do disagree with. So for Barrack and our Burgundy, while handy, you can get better results out of different paints. Entirely up to you how you want to go about doing it though. But yeah, have a bit of fun with it. You can get some really good colours. Squig orange would be far better over the top of things like your the squig itself. So a bit of dry brushing here and there with things like that can make it stand out massively and give it a completely different look, which in all honesty is what you sometimes want. But I mean, if you're following the guide, it's going to look something like that. Personally, I prefer my squigs with a bit more colour, and you can easily do that with a bit of squig orange, dry brush some Mephiston red over the top of the squig, over that corn red, go with some squig orange, and then you could go things like with them yellow dots for the boils and growths and such like, and it will give it a more bright, vibrant colour overall. But it's your mini at the end of the day. Do what you want to do and what you feel should be done with it, and I'm sure you'll have a really great kit at the end. Then we have our Warscroll page for the Boing Bounders, so they do have a 4+ save. They can move a D6 plus 7 inch, 2 wounds, 5 bravery. Yeah, they're not too bad, they're pretty decent, they're pretty interesting as well, so you can get a little bit more out of them. But yeah, very interesting unit to have, and obviously, as I've said many times already, very unique, which is exactly how you want it. And then obviously you do get your tutorial bit as well to how to utilise things like Boing Smash and Lances of the Bounders, and how that works with them. Enjoy. Moving on though, we get a new battle plan for the week, so entirely up to you how you want to go about doing it, but it's ride them down. Obviously you pick your armies, so whether you're going with the army list for Army Alliance of Destruction or the Alliance of Order, you have some really great units to pick from. Some that we haven't used quite as often recently as others, but otherwise it's really good stuff and quite good fun. So it'll be a good little battle for you to have and to get on with, utilising 3 mats out of the 4, which is pretty cool and pretty big and got some bit of range to it, so why not? And then finally we're going to move on to the last page, obviously, as per usual. So next week we get more Sylvaneth, we get the Spite Revenants, so obviously very similar to the Tree Revenants that we've had recently. and you can do them in exactly the same way. Obviously, they are Sylvaneth, so there are some very small, fiddly little pieces, which personally I don't always enjoy, but they are quite good fun to build. So, for instance, recently I built my branch, which that's a little bit fiddly, but a really, really enjoyable mini to build. So yeah, and the tree revenants are very, very similar to it, and so are the spite revenants. Week after though, week 50, we get new paints. First off, we get Dawnstone, which is a lighter grey than Mechanica Standard Grey, slightly darker than say like Grey Seer or Administratum Grey. And then we also get a Grellian Earth. So a Grellian Earth is a grey texture paint. We also get a texture spreader as well, which is your plastic little tool that if you've had the previous magazines you would have had one as well, which it's got a, when I'm not throwing it on the floor, it's got a bigger flatter end at one end and then a thin on the end of a bit, so you can spread texture paint around bases to give them a bit of a different look and make them look a bit unique. But that's it. That's genuinely it for this week. It's been a good one. It's a decent issue with some decent minis, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting going with them. Right, I'm going to go build these new minis. Hope you have a really good one, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.